The police didn't come because of a crime, at least not the kind I expected. They came because my husband hadn't shown up to work for 3 days. That was already strange. But what made my hands start shaking was what the officer said next. "Ma'am, how long have you known your husband?" My husband, Daniel, and I had been married for 12 years. 12 predictable, quiet years. He worked logistics. I worked part-time at a clinic. 2 kids, a mortgage. Sunday dinners, nothing dramatic, nothing hidden. At least, that's what I believed. The officers sat at our kitchen table like they'd been there before. They asked about Daniel's habits. Did he travel? Did he gamble? Did he drink? No, I kept saying. No, no, no. One of them slid a photo across the table. My husband stood in a parking garage. Different clothes. Different haircut. Different name. This man, the officer said, tapping the photo, goes by Michael. I laughed. Actually laughed. That's impossible, I said. He hates parking garages. The officer didn't smile. They told me Daniel had been renting a studio apartment downtown for 6 years. 6 years, paid in cash. No lease in his name. No neighbors who knew him well. Just enough contact to exist. I felt embarrassed. Like they were accusing me of being stupid. He wouldn't do that, I said. We share everything. The officer nodded. That's what his other wife said too. I stopped breathing. What? They showed me more photos. Daniel, Michael, standing in front of another house. Different car, different posture. A woman stood beside him. Her hand rested on his arm. She looked tired. Not glamorous. Real. There was a child in the background. A little boy, 4 or 5 years old. That child, the officer said, was reported missing last week. I remember screaming then. I remember the sound coming from my own mouth and not recognizing it. No, I kept saying. No, no, no. They let me cry. Then they kept talking. Daniel hadn't kidnapped the child. The boy was his son. He had 2. One with me, one with her. The child had wandered away from a playground. When police traced the address, they found Daniel's name. Well, one of them, I asked where my husband was. The officers exchanged a look. That's the problem. One said, "We don't know. I didn't tell my kids that night. I told them their father was on a work trip. I told them everything was fine. Then I locked myself in the bathroom and vomited until my throat burned. The next day, the woman called me. I didn't know how she got my number. I didn't know about you either," she said immediately. Her voice was flat, defensive, like she'd practiced that sentence. Her name was Rachel. She had met Daniel 8 years ago. He told her he was divorced. He cried on their 3rd date. Said he'd lost his family. I thought I was saving him, she said. I thought about all the times I felt like I was saving him too. She told me about their life, the arguments, the missed dinners, the excuses. I realized something horrifying. He had been a mediocre husband to both of us. 2 days later, police found him. Hotel room, another name, another city, another story. He didn't resist. He didn't cry. He looked relieved. When I saw him at the station, he didn't apologize. He just said something I'll never forget. I didn't want to choose. Rachel stood across the room. Her child clung to her leg. Our eyes met. I felt no hatred, only exhaustion. Daniel was charged with fraud, identity misuse, not for the families. For the paperwork, for the money, the judge called it an elaborate deception. I called it my life. The divorce was quiet, no yelling. No dramatic court scenes, just signatures, just silence. Rachel and I never became friends, but we text sometimes. About school schedules, about therapy, about how to explain the past without poisoning the future. My kids asked about their father. I told them the truth, not all of it, but enough. One night, my daughter asked, "Did he love us?" I answered honestly. Yes, I said, he just didn't know how to love only one life. Sometimes I wonder how many versions of him are still out there. How many names? How many half-lived truths? This is NIGHTLINE, and sometimes the scariest thing about the people we love is not what they do in secret, but how normal they make it feel.